Welcome to Let's Make Music, the show for aspiring musicians. We'll talk about all things music and music creation, from our trials and tribulations to the rewards you get from learning, producing, and experiencing all that music offers.
And welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Make Music, the podcast all about music and music creation. You name it, it's probably going to be on Let's Make Music. Thanks so much for stopping by for this episode of the podcast. And if you want to get in contact with us, it's Let's Make Music at purplepitstudios.com is our email address. Let's Make Music at purplepitstudios.com. And also, you can listen to every episode of this particular podcast at Purple Pit Studios. Just look for Let's Make Music. So this time on the show, we were talking about before the acoustic guitar and ways to get started on the acoustic guitar and that. We're going to kind of change gears a little bit here and downshift. On this episode of Let's Make Music, we're going to talk about the commitment you need to learn a musical instrument. We're going to spend a majority of our time doing that today. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that you can implement right now, whether you're just starting your journey on learning a musical instrument or you've been playing for a while and you're kind of in a rut. It's all coming up this time on Let's Make Music. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Make Music, the show all about making music, appreciation of music, and so much more. We're so glad you stopped by today. We truly appreciate each and every one of you, so thanks for stopping by. And on this episode, as we talked about in the open, we're going to talk about what you can do, some tips and tricks when learning a musical instrument. By the way, if you like the podcast, would you do us a favor? Would you share us with your friends, first and foremost? And secondly, give us a podcast rating on your favorite podcast provider or over at the website at purplepitstudios.com. All right, let's get into it. So, let's say you're just starting to learn a musical instrument. Well, what do you got to do? What kind of commitment is this going to take for you to, first of all, get any particular satisfaction out of it? And secondly, to make sure you stick with it so you can reap the benefits and rewards of making music and gaining that satisfaction. Because, my friends, if you've never made music before on any musical instrument, there is probably no greater feeling in the world than producing either your own music or learning a song from your favorite band or artist or what have you, and accomplishing that and being able to play it, whether it's like on a guitar, on a bass, on the drums, a piano, harmonica, whatever, triangle, anything. It's such a great feeling to learn a musical instrument and how to play it, and then to move forward with it and make it your own. Now, it takes a certain amount of commitment. Now, I'm sure you've heard that expression before. Hey, it takes 10,000 hours to learn any particular skill. That, in essence, is true to an extent. Yes, it is true to a certain extent. You've got to put in the effort. And just to, tell you right off the get-go, right here, right from the get-go, right off the bat, don't fall for these get-rich kind of sham schemes. And what I mean by get rich quick, it's the same thing with that. Oh, or the pill that promises you if you take this pill overnight, you're going to lose 10 pounds. There is no fast track to success when learning a skill other than putting in the time, learning from your mistakes, and maybe learning from others that have gone down that road and treaded that road before you, to learn from them. And what I mean by that is the following. There's lots of folks out there that, know how to play an instrument either real well, or they know a little bit about a certain instrument and they can do that and dabble around a piano or guitar or noodle, what have you. However, in order for you to really reap the benefits of learning an instrument, you have to invest some time, my friends. There's no way around it. There's no magic potion, no magic spell, no magic pill. that's going to get you from A to, virtuoso. Okay? It just doesn't work like that. Now, are there some people that have inherent talent built in? They've got a good ear, they can hear things, and then once they learn a particular skill, they can, I hear that piece of music and I can produce it on the piano or the guitar or the bass or whatever. Sure there are. Absolutely. However, for the majority of us out here, we are going to have to put in the effort. It's just the bottom line. We're going to have to do it. So, that being said, there are some tips that I can provide you that from learning particular instruments throughout my lifetime, and I'm still learning. I'm not an expert, believe me. I'm way, 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 way from being a virtuoso or an expert. But I can hold my own on the guitar, the bass, the drums especially, because that was the first instrument I really took up playing, learning. And a lot of me is self-taught in that I tried the book method where, you read the book and you hit the sticks and you're tap, 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 boom, 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 paradiddles, da. I tried all that stuff. Reading it out of a book for learning instruments for me just doesn't work. I'm a visual learner. I have to see it, feel it, touch it kind of thing. So that's where I strive. Now, some of you might be able to, read tablature, if you're learning a stringed instrument or, a piano or something like that, or a keyboard, you might be able to do that. However, for myself, I found that being a visual learner is the easiest for me. It may be for you, it may not be for you. That being said, though, however, when you're learning something, you've got, and I can't stress this enough, I know I've repeated it a lot, you've got to invest the time. You've got to take that time to get the basics, the core, the foundation, as it were. Nobody builds a house and starts with the roof. Okay, you pour the foundation, then you build up from there. Same thing with learning a new skill. You got to get if you get a strong foundation right from the get-go, it's going to accelerate the learning process. I'll guarantee you that. Now, depending on the instrument, this is going to require repetition and some fundamental understanding. YouTube can be a great source for learning, but again, you have to wade through play the guitar overnight, or, play the piano overnight. Play the piano like a virtuoso in 1 week. No, I'm sorry, folks. Maybe 1 in 800 million people can just look at something and go, I've never done this before, and play, Beethoven's Fifth on the piano. I don't know. I've never met a person like that, but I'm sure they're out there somewhere. But it's very, very, very rare. It usually takes a little bit of time and investment and effort to get to that point. Now, what you want to do, depending on the instrument you're going to learn, you want to get the basics and the foundations. In other words, if you're going to say you're going to play the drums, first thing you got to do is get a pair of drumsticks. Okay, you can start out with chopsticks or, a couple spoons or whatever, but get yourself, go spend the $5 or $10 and get a decent pair of drumsticks. Something that feels comfortable in your hand. They make all kinds of drumsticks, all kinds of sizes and what have you. But get a pair of drumsticks and then just start, maybe a pillow or something, and just start, trying to play along with a song. Watch some videos on starting on the drum, maybe drumsticks and a practice pad to start with, to go. I don't recommend going out and investing in the best instrument, spending, $2,000 on an electronic drum kit or an acoustic drum kit, to start with, because if you're not going to stick with it, you've just spent a whole bunch of money and you're probably not going to get back what you spent on it unless the store has a really liberal return policy. Most of them are like 14 days to 30 days. So just start out with a practice pad and a pair of drumsticks and go from there. And then you can go down and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to stick with this. I like it, what have you. Watch some YouTube videos. There's great teachers out there. Just start with the basics. Do a YouTube search, learning to play the drums. You'll be able to know. I trust your intelligence out there, my audience, to disseminate from the people that are just trying to get hits on their YouTube channel to people who actually want to, teach you how to play. And they'll give you some great advice. I don't have anyone in at the top of my head because I haven't touched, played the drums in quite a while. So I can't do that. I can't speak for that. However, you'll know who and where and whom to find with that. So that being said, for the guitar, there's a lot of great teachers out there. That's my main focus of instrument as of the past 20 years. I can recommend Justin Sandrico. I can recommend Marty Schwartz. He's a good one. There's the gentleman that goes by the YouTube handle Your Guitar Sage. He's really good for learning as well. Just to name a few, these are folks that have great beginners sections on their website, and most of that content is free as well, which is good. And I would recommend starting in their beginner section, learning how to play the guitar. And I would invest in, again, you don't have to get an expensive guitar. You can get yourself like a Fender, or not a Fender. You can get a Squier. They call them Fender Squier. That's their, not bad quality, but starter guitars and that. If you can visit your local music shop or what have you, but get a nice starter guitar. We talked about with the guitars before, an acoustic especially. Just do a decent setup on it so it doesn't, your fingers are going to hurt a little bit when you start, but just give it time. The main thing is to try and discipline yourself when the going gets tough, to at least try and pick up your instrument at least every other day for 15 to 20 minutes. At least every other day for 15 to 20 minutes. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to, you read the stories about Eddie Van Halen would, sleep with his guitar and, 7 hours a day. I mean, hey, if you got the time and you're so inspired, God bless you. But a lot of us out here in the real world have jobs, families, commitments, and that. And you're not going to just have that kind of available time for you to do this. So again, at least every other day, I'd say 15 minutes every other day. If you can do that, then you're sitting good. You're sitting pretty, as they say. Same thing for like piano or keyboard. You don't have to go out and buy the Roland, $2,000 electric piano. And get yourself like a Casio starter model or a Yamaha. Start with like a 49 or a 61 key keyboard. Start with something like that. And then there's great places online. There's a website that is on YouTube called Piano Note. Piano Note. They have some great instructional videos and beginner stuff as well. There's a few other ones out there too that you can search for, but just start with that. And remember, you're learning a new skill. The number one thing you want to remember, folks, is allow yourself some time, patience, be kind to yourself. It might take you a few weeks, a few months to get the basics, but you will. One day it'll all click. But you've got to give yourself time. You got to have patience. Once you find a program that you're comfortable in, depending on the instrument, stick with that and just put in the time. Put in the time, and you'll start seeing the benefits and reaping the benefits and the rewards of the joy that playing a musical instrument can give you. Because I cannot stress enough how much fun it is to make music of your own, invent your own music, write your own songs, come up with your own rhythms and melodies. It's just so sad. It's creative. It's the creative side of your brain takes over, and you'll release some endorphins that you get from other artificial stimulants, like drugs and alcohol. I mean, music releases endorphins and it doesn't hurt your health. If anything, it helps. And learning a musical instrument has been proven in many, many studies to help your cognitive functions, which is your brain, for those of you who don't know that, your cognitive functions, your motor skills, everything all comes together when you're learning a musical instrument. And it's just doggone fun to get together with other people who share similar interests in that and make music, whether it's good. There's no such thing as bad music. There's just music, okay? And getting together with a bunch of people, it's very rewarding. I find it great when I get together with the guys and the gals here and over at the Purple Pit Studios, and we make some music every so often. It's great. Now, we're not looking to go on tour or shatter any records or get a record recording contract. We just loved getting together and making music, playing for others, and stuff like that. Just the enjoyment. It's relaxing. Okay, it's relaxing. And it beats sitting in a chair, with a remote control watching, binge watching TV all day. It's rewarding in so many ways. But again, just to kind of summarize some of the tips we've been doing. First and foremost, be patient and kind with yourself. Allow yourself time. That's the second thing. Make sure you start at the beginner level if you're just starting out. Don't try and run before you can walk. Okay, don't try and walk before you can crawl, as it were. That's the easiest way to explain it. Find yourself a reliable path to learn. Even people in your community, friends and that, if you know somebody plays an instrument, ask them, hey, I know you play the guitar and that. Can you show me some stuff, some basic stuff and everything? Would you mind? I can come to your house, you can come to my house or whatever. I'll buy you lunch or whatever. People are more willing than... I've never had someone say, no, I don't want to show you how to play this. I've never had anybody refuse me when I've asked, hey, that's a cool lick there, or that's a good bass line. Would you mind showing me how you do that? Sure, yeah, because they're proud. They want to show off their accomplishments, and someone showed them. So, you're paying it forward, which is great. It's another thing. The music community can be wonderful and inspirational for just paying things forward. One of the other tips I would give you is if let's say you've been playing for a while and you've kind of hit a brick wall and you're feeling like, oh man, I've learned everything I can learn. I'm playing the same riffs over and over again. I'm playing the same, 4 piano chords over and over again. Step outside your comfort zone. That's the next tip I have for you. If you've been playing or after you've been playing for a while, you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. I don't like doing it. Nobody likes doing it because as human beings, we all love to be comfortable. But you have to learn to step outside your comfort zone and challenge yourself. Do something that's hard and just take it in little snippets. That's the next tip. When learning anything new, whether you're a beginner starting or you've been playing for a while and you're stepping outside your comfort zone, take it in little bite-sized chunks. In other words, let's say you want to learn to solo to Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. And you've been playing guitar for a while, and you're like, man, I really love the solo. I want to learn how to play it. You're not going to learn the whole thing in one sitting or 2 sittings or even maybe 5 or 10 sittings. But that solo has so many, there's so many sections to it. So start with maybe the first section and half of that, and just learn that over and over again. Get it till you got it down cold. You can play it with your eyes closed. Then add from that section, play that, add a little more, put them together, and then go to that point. You see what I'm saying? Keep like adding on, almost like you're a bricklayer and you're building a wall. You're just adding a little more, little more, little more, little more. There, pretty soon you got a brick wall, right? Well, if you keep adding a little more into it, whether it's learning a song or a solo or something, and you just start with little bite-sized chunks and just keep adding to them as you go along, pretty soon you'll have it down pat. All right? So that's another tip. When learning, do it in bite-sized chunks. There's an old expression, don't bite off more than you can chew. And that's kind of, you can put that in with learning music, musical instruments. Don't, expect to, grab a pair of drumsticks and start playing and then say, oh man, I'm going to be the next, Carmine Appice or Neil Peart or, it takes time, just little by little. Build up the momentum, build up your skills, build up your chops, as they say in the music biz. Build up your chops, man. And it'll come. It'll happen for you. Trust me. When I started playing guitar, man, I wanted to quit so many times in the first 6 months. And I just said, you know what? No, I am going to learn this, and and then I just started easing off, and I was kind to myself, and I said, all right, I'm just going to learn this little section of the song. I'm going to learn these first 4 chords that are the intro to the song, and I'm going to learn that, and I'm going to know it cold by heart where I could actually close my eyes on the guitar and play it because I had been playing for a little while. And that's what I did. And sure enough, it started coming easier and easier and easier. And even with new songs, I do that too, and I use the same process because I developed the process that works good for me, and it works out great. So just, remember, be kind to yourself, okay? Now, one of the other tips I'm going to give you, whether when you're just starting out or if you've been playing for a while, remember, consistency is king. You've got to be consistent. In other words, yeah, you can take a break from your instrument, let's say for, a few weeks or whatever. Hell, I've taken breaks for as long as 4 weeks from playing the guitar or bass, but then I got right back into it and eased back in and went right back at it. I mean, it's okay to take a vacation from your thing there if you're on vacation or what have you. However, you want to make sure consistency is king. The more consistent time you spend with your instrument, it's always a good thing, as long as it's quality time. Now, what I mean by that is you don't always want to pick up your instrument or sit down at your instrument and just noodle around. Say, well, I'm going to learn this chord progression, and you do it for like 2 minutes and go, I'm bored. I don't want to do this. I want to go, I know how to play half of this song and a fourth of that song. You're not going to get anywhere fast doing that, my friends. You're not even going to get anywhere. You're just going to stay at that level plateau. So what you want to do is quality consistency. So having quality consistency is important. Now, that might mean a minute or two of warm-up on your instrument, doing scales or what have you, or chord progressions. And then you want to get into the meat and potatoes of what you want to practice, whether it's that new song, the intro to that new song, that chord progression. Maybe you're writing a song and you want to concentrate on that, for the meat and potatoes of your sit-down session there, your practice session. Maybe you're learning a solo, so you want to combine, parts 1, 2, and 3 that you've learned. You can do that, okay? The other thing is you can, learn different ways to play, or maybe you want to practice singing and playing at the same time, so on and so forth, okay? And then when you're all done with that stuff, then leave yourself some time for just noodling around and having fun with the instrument before you close out your session. Play some of the stuff, that or chord progressions or what have you, and enjoy that. Do that and enjoy that. So I think that's about all we got time for on this episode of Let's Make Music. I hope I provided you some insight and some usable tips on your musical journey. And if you just follow these tips that we were talking about and some of the advice, I think it's going to go a long, long, long way to helping you along on your musical journey. And believe me, I don't just give out this advice. I use it and take it myself. So until next time, if you want to email us, it's letsmakemusic@purplepitstudios.com. And don't forget to visit us on the website, purplepitstudios.com. Just look for Let's Make Music. And again, like we stated in the opening, if you like the program, would you do us a favor? Share us with your friends and leave us a positive rate and review. Until next time, my friends, continue to make music. And I look forward to gathering yet again with you real soon. Take care.